Now, a saint who was very similar to Padre Pio was Saint Francis of Paola. And we're going to see how both were tremendous miracle workers. We're going to start by looking at the early life of Saint Francis of Paola. Dear friends, on this channel, Lives of the Saints. It's an extension of our Following Padre Pio channel. If you want to see more about Padre Pio, then do go through to that channel. But here on this channel, Lives of the Saints, we want to see more about the saints. We want to see their incredible and their heroic examples. And so often when the church or the world went into a state of crisis, there would be a saint who would come along who would restore order with God. And in particular, we're going to be looking at Saint Francis of Paola, who, like Padre Pio, he was a humble miracle worker. He worked incredible miracles, and his prophecies influenced nations. Please, if you're new to our channel, then make sure you've subscribed to our channel and click that reminder bell too. This story is taken from the book Saint Francis of Paola, God's Miracle Worker Supreme. And the year is now 1415. Europe is in a state of turmoil because there's lots of internal division, fighting amongst themselves, and radical Muslim invaders gathering on their borders. This is also shortly before the discovery of the Americas. So it fits into that context. And then if we take a journey down to the south of Italy, to the province of Catalonia, there we'll come across a little town, Paolo, and inside the town a humble little house in which lived the Alessio family, And he was a farmer and she took care of the house, and they were both deeply religious people. For 15 years, they had been praying for a miracle for a child, and they had a particular devotion to Saint Francis of Assisi. Well, one day something really strange happened. The neighbors noticed tongues of flame, of fire, above the Alessio's house. Everyone in the village gathered and they were observing these tongues of flames, and the Alessios came out and they saw the flames. No one understood what was going on. They were all puzzled. But to the Alessios, they started to think, could this be a sign? These tongues of flame that appeared above their house. And was their prayer to be answered? Well, 9 months later, a child was born to them. And they said that they felt a strange sense of awe when they looked at the newborn child. It was as if there was quiet music playing in the background, and there was an air of something very holy whenever they entered this child's bedroom. Now, God had other plans. A month later, this child developed an abscess, an infection in the eye. And the mother was obviously extremely worried lest he become blind because of this infection. So she consulted all of the doctors around, but it was futile. And so desperate, the mother went to the local church, and there she offered prayers before a statue of Saint Francis of Assisi, asking for his intercession. And the mother promised that if her child was cured, then young Francis would be dressed in a Franciscan habit and serve for 1 year in a Franciscan monastery. So she made this promise for his healing. And days later, young Francis was cured. And of course, the De Alessio's faith grew more fervent because of that. Now, when he was very young, Francis, he enjoyed playing, they say even more than playing outside. He would enjoy praying and meditating on our Lord Jesus Christ, on his Holy Mother, and on Saint Francis of Assisi. He'd pray to all of them. And apparently when he did this, he would go into his room, and then he would interlock his fingers and he would look up towards heaven. And he would, after a little while, become completely unaware of everything that was going on around him. So it's as if he went into a state of ecstasy from a very young age. And then following on that, he developed habits of wanting to fast and to abstain from various things, offering these things up to God. So it's similar. We can see to Padre Pio, who also from a very young age was called into the house of God. He used to love spending hours and hours. If he wasn't found at home, he would be in the church praying. And when he was 13 years old, and this was on March 27, 1429, Francis awoke, and he said his room was filled with light. And there before him stood Saint Francis of Assisi. With this message, he said, "Tell your parents that the time has now come for you to wear the habit of the Friars Minor for 1 year, as promised, when you were a baby and when your eye was cured of an abscess." And we can see here how young Francis has now just been called by Saint Francis himself to join the monastery. If you want to see more of this video, or to find out why Saint Francis of Paola became the patron saint of seafarers, it's quite an incredible miracle, then do make sure that you've subscribed to our channel. Click that subscribe button, and afterwards click that reminder bell so that you will see future videos. And as videos become available, we'll join them on the end screen. You can go to the end screen to see videos there too. Now, what we've seen in today's video, of course, just to summarize, is the early life of Saint Francis of Paola. And like John the Baptist, it seems he was called right from birth. And there was an extraordinary sign announcing his birth, and that was these tongues of flame above the D'Alessio house. And then at a young age, when he was just 1 month old, his eye was healed from an abscess in exchange for a promise. And he loved to pray. He developed a deep sense of prayer and meditation, in which he would become insensible to what was going on in the world around him, as if he was already in an ecstasy. That's from a very young age. And now we've also just seen how Saint Francis of Assisi, in an apparition, calls Francis of Paola to join the monastery according to this promise his mother made. And we'd also encourage you, we have a Mass celebrated every Friday where we bring your intentions to Padre Pio. If you want to have your intentions enrolled, then you can add them in the comments below. Please do see some of the other videos on the end screen too, and help us with our apostolate by liking the video and sharing it with your friends and colleagues.
In nome del Padre, del Figliolo e dello Spirito Santo, e così sia. Sia lodato Gesù e Maria, e
in illo tempore egressus est Iesus cum discipulis suis transtorrentem